On this week's Lazy Sunday upload is once again Jonathan Haidt. Now, back in December I put out a video called Social Justice University versus Truth University that was excerpted from Haidt's lecture given at Duke University in 2016 called Two Incompatible Sacred Values in American Universities. In that lecture, Haidt argues that the values of social justice and truth are incompatible and that universities must choose one or the other as their central mission.
So in my talk, I'm going to argue that no university can pursue both. Individuals can in their own lives, but a university needs to have a central mission, and it has to be either truth or social justice. It can't be both. And so I'm going to argue that we need a schism. We need our universities to clearly declare which way you're going. You can go either way. It's a free country, but you got to go one way or the other. And you have to be explicit about it, advertise that, and then students can choose which kind of university to go to.
So I think it's clear from recent events that Evergreen State College is moving towards fully fledged social justice values, and that Professor Brett Weinstein, who still clings to some semblance of truth, is finding that his values are no longer compatible with Evergreen University. Now, what follows is excerpted from a presentation Haidt gave at Yale University in 2015 called Coddling University versus Strengthening University. In this presentation, Haidt pretends to give a pitch for potential students for each type of university based on those competing values of coddling and strengthening. And so I've just included the pitch for Coddling University, but I'll leave the link to the full video below. I think this pitch for the hypothetical Coddling University explains a lot about the focus of some universities that have embraced coddling or social justice values like Evergreen State College. Anyway, enjoy.
So please welcome Chris Cradle. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Cradle, and I'm here to talk to you about Coddle University. It's a wonderful school, a wonderful, wonderful school. It's a very safe school. It's a supportive school. I urge you to come. We were founded in 1965 based on the ideas of Herbert Marcuse, who was a German sociologist and political philosopher. He came to America, fled the Nazis, did much of his work at Brandeis and many other schools. At Coddle, our sacred value is inclusion. We create a safe, welcoming space for all students, any color, any gender, any gender identity, whatever it is, we want to include you. Our sacrilege, the worst thing you can do at Coddle is blame victims. We will not allow this. That is a violation of our sacred value. We don't want anyone to feel excluded. We have very good justification for this policy because the works of our founder, Dr. Marcuse, he wrote this wonderful essay in 1965. It was published in a book, A Critique of Pure Tolerance, in which Marcuse explained why it is that things should not be tolerated if they impede the chances of creating an existence without fear and misery. Of course that's our goal. Don't we all want the world to be free of fear and misery? So if certain kinds of actions and speech impede the creation of that world, why should we tolerate them? Marcuse said that tolerating those sorts of things that just strengthens the tyranny of the majority against which authentic liberals protested and do protest today. He goes on to describe what he calls liberating tolerance. Liberating tolerance would mean intolerance against movements from the right, because they are intolerant, and toleration of movements from the left. We will make space for any movement from the left, but we will not allow movements from the right at Coddle University. Our motto is, everyone is entitled to an existence without fear and misery. Now, let me tell you a bit about our curriculum. Here's our pedagogy. Here's the way that we structure our courses. We're based on a very simple psychology, which is that people are fragile. People are so easily hurt. Anything that upsets you could trigger trauma, repressed trauma, unrepressed trauma, trauma that you somehow put up there in the closet and then forgot to take down. There's trauma all over your mind and your memory. And we don't want to trigger your trauma. that could damage you. And this is especially true for members of the 6 protected classes. If you are a member of one of the 6 marginalized and oppressed groups, you are especially vulnerable. You've been traumatized and oppressed your whole lives. Microaggression theory teaches us that when people are repeatedly cut, these little nicks, these little insults, these little exclusions, they don't develop calluses, they bleed to death. And so we will not let you be cut while you're at Coddle. We will protect you. Now, don't try to do it yourself. That's very dangerous. We will protect you from aggression. We were so thrilled when the New York Times began covering the new movement to create safe spaces at Brown University. There was a debate between 2 different feminists, one of whom questioned whether the term rape culture was appropriate. Now, that's really a scary thing to say, because some people believe that there's a rape culture. And if you're questioning that, you're a rape culture denialist. And that is very, very threatening. And what Katie Byron thought was that this debate could invalidate people's experiences. Because one of the speakers, if she says what she's going to say, that could invalidate some Brown students' experiences. And that could reactivate all of their trauma. So she created a safe space with Play-Doh and balloons. And I don't know if they had puppies, because puppies could bite. But this is just, we love this, and we're going to start doing this ourselves. In fact, I can announce to you today, actually The Onion just covered this, we just got a major donation to create a safe space. Okay. So, at Coddle University, we offer access to therapists 24/7. Just dial 811 from any phone. Or we have this new feature, just raise 3 fingers, go like this, and we have sensors all around campus, go like this, a therapist will be airlifted right into you. We are a campus-wide safe space. There is no risk of exposure to non-progressive ideas. You will not find it in our curriculum. That would be triggering. And speaking of triggers, we have our technology department's been working on this. We're just coming out with this. It would be ready for your class next fall. A smartphone app where at the beginning of every class, you enter the things that are your triggers for the day. That goes to the professor, and the professor knows what topics not to say. Now, then you actually have to forget that you typed them in. That's what we're working on. Because, of course, if you type it in, that might actually trigger it. But we're working on that. And finally, a new deal. We have this fantastic new deal with the American Psychological Association and the American Bar Association. We find that our graduates tend to need a lot of therapy afterwards. They also hire a lot of lawyers. So we get you a 25% discount after graduation for life, 25% discount on therapy and legal representation. Because, as I said, our motto is that everyone is entitled to an existence without fear and misery. In fact, why don't we all say that together? We find this is a very good community building exercise. So on the count of 3, I'd like you to please read that with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Everyone is entitled to an existence without fear and misery. Great, thanks. At Coddle, we're based on the idea that your feelings are true. Feelings never lie. If you feel offended, then you were attacked. We're very, very concerned about microaggressions. With microaggressions, you've all heard of them. Microaggressions are these questions or things people might say. They might not intend to be offensive, but they're often clueless, they're clumsy. But the point is, if there's a fellow student who's Asian, looks Asian, and you say, "Where are you from?" and he says, "Seattle," and you say, "No, I mean, where's your family from?" You're conveying that you're treating him like another, and that's a marginalizing experience. We cannot allow that to happen. We do not care about the intent of the aggressor. If someone has marginalized you, they have committed violence on you, because words are a form of violence, right? I mean, obviously. We will help you to see the constant daily violence that you are all subjected to, even when you don't know it. In fact, our scholars are discovering new kinds of violence daily. In fact, did you? This is a new thing. It's called stare rape. If a man looks at a woman lustfully, that often makes the woman uncomfortable. If she's uncomfortable, she was raped. And we cannot allow rape on campus. Therefore, no man can look at a woman for more than 2 seconds without positive verbal assent. At Coddle University, we will offer you no training in coping skills. It is not your job to change yourself. You should not. That's blaming the victim. We are going to wipe out microaggressions. You should not have to change. We have zero tolerance for microaggressions. Oh, I already used that joke. Sorry. OK, the staring. OK. We will give you training in how to use the law to eliminate microaggressions. We're doing a pretty good job of it on campus. But we understand that you're going to sometimes go home for weekends. We know some of you will go to Europe, or God forbid, to non-Western countries, and we know that people will stare at you. They'll ask you questions. I mean, it's horrible the way the rest of the world, except that I can't condemn or criticize anyone, but it's horrible the way you'll be treated. And so we have a team of international lawyers who are fanning around the world to stop microaggressions all over the world. So, we will also teach you the 12 most effective cognitive distortions. We will teach you. We find many of our freshmen come in looking at shades of gray. That interferes with the project of creating the world we want to create. We need people who are committed. So we will teach you to overgeneralize. We will teach you to do dichotomous thinking. We will teach you to do emotional reasoning. Because again, this is our motto. Now, actually, it's really fun to do it the way we do it at school. Here's how we do it. We do it it has to be a complete monotone, because no note should be higher than any other note. Okay, so we do it like this. So it's everyone is entitled to an existence. So like that. Okay, ready? Do it with me, loud, nice and loud. 1, 2, 3. Everyone is entitled to an existence without fear and misery. Great. So see, we do fun stuff like that. OK, so my closing thoughts about Coddle University and why it's such a great place for you. We're based on the idea that you are blameless. They are bad, but you are good. At Coddle, we specialize in helping you to discover the specks in your neighbor's eyes. Your neighbor's eyes are full of specks. We will help you see them. At Coddle, for example, we will give you all kinds of rhetorical tricks. Did you know that new scholarship has converged on the idea that racism is defined as prejudice plus power? I mean, it doesn't really make sense to say you're racist if you don't have power to limit other people or harm them. So racism is now defined at Coddle and elsewhere, at many top universities. It's defined as prejudice plus power. And what that means is now that we know about implicit attitudes, if you take the IAT, the implicit association test, now we know that all white people find it easier to associate African American faces with the word bad than good. Many African Americans have this too, but it's less so. But now that we know that just about all white people have an implicit prejudice against African Americans, and all white people have power, regardless of their social class, therefore all white people are, by definition, racist. And all members of non-privileged groups, by definition, cannot be racist. They don't have power, regardless of their social class. So we give you rhetorical tricks like this that allow you to win arguments without having to actually engage your opponents. At Coddle University, we will offer you intensive support for your current belief that dominant groups are bad and your current belief that marginalized groups are good. We will teach you how to dispel hate with hate. At Coddle, we will prepare you for diversity in everything except thought. That's actually a line from George Will, but that is basically what the modern academy tries to do. In fact, I'm sorry, I'm stepping out of character here for just a moment. In fact, a report by the National Association of Scholars, they analyzed all the summer reading list from all the schools that have summer reading programs for incoming freshmen, and they found it's overwhelmingly books from the last 10 years dealing with social justice issues, race, gender, class, things like that. So the idea is before students come in, we want to really get them sensitized to race, gender, class issues, and then they're ready for further training. Okay, so at Coddle, we will prepare you for diversity in everything except thought. We assign a variety of books on race, class, gender, sexual orientation issues. The one older book we assign, the one book that's more than 10 years old we assign, is, of course, The Critique of Pure Tolerance and Marcuse's essay, Repressive Tolerance, that I told you about before. We also will give you microaggression training. Before you arrive on campus, we follow the UCLA protocol. In fact, all the University of California, their schools are just fantastic. Their schools are the most progressive. They are the leaders in new ideas to expand the concept of microaggression and to train students in how to avoid them. And we used to give out this book called How to Lose Friends and Alienate People, but we actually find that if we just do this, then that happens. So we're okay. In conclusion, this is our motto. Now, actually, just one last thing. So the way we actually do it, it's really fun. What we do is we want everybody to stand. So please stand up, put your hands at your sides like this, and then we'll repeat the motto with that monotone that I did. Okay, so everybody stand up, please. Stand up, everyone up. Okay, so please put your hands just flat at your sides and stay really stiff, straighten your spine. Okay, now, and that monotone really loud. 1, 2, 3. Everyone is entitled to an existence without fear and misery. Isn't that fun? Great. Okay, you can sit down now. Okay. Okay, well, that's all I got for you. Thanks.